Hello, advanced financial planning students. We are now in week 4, and about the middle of the week, we'll actually be halfway through the course. So just guys are doing a great job. Just keep plugging along. Still remember your overall project about doing a financial plan for a client. Again, this is I don't need to know anything in details of who it is or just generalizations when you're doing this project, but something to work on because that will be coming up fairly quickly. So for this week, we have chapters 11, 12, and 13. Chapter 11 addresses your insurance needs. In the beginning, it's going to talk a little bit about the terminology, such things as, the types of risks, moral hazard, indemnity. So you're going to learn a lot of different terms. You may be familiar with a lot of these terms already, but it just goes into a lot more detail. And then it kind of looks into a needs analysis in terms of the different types of insurance. The textbook mentions about 3 basic categories. When you think about those of assets, think about personal property, your auto, home, also those for your life, that could be life insurance or health insurance. And then finally, from the government sources, it could be unemployment, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. So these are all different ways that we insure ourselves. And, in retirement, if we've contributed to the Social Security system, it's a form of insurance the way that it provides retirement for us. Also your employers, they pay in for unemployment. So if you were downsized, you're going to have some temporary assistance with some financial income flow to help you through that time period. So a lot of this chapter kind of goes through a lot of the types of insurance and, trying to figure out what is not covered. And, in theory, again, you should just be covering what you need. You don't want to overpay for insurance. Is the concept of opportunity cost. Okay. In our next chapter, we look at chapter 12. We look at retirement planning. In the written video lecture this week, I've kept it brief, but put a couple of calculators out there. But when you look at how much you actually need in actual dollars when you factor in inflation, it can be a little bit intimidating. But again, this is where a lot of the financial calculations that we did earlier in the course that says, if I start early, and if I just plug away a little bit each month, if I take advantage of my company match, or if I'm putting additional monies from the outside, I can meet that financial goal. But the longer you wait, the more you're going to have to put up later in your life in order to meet that. So there's a lot of different factors this chapter talks about. It talks about the different vehicles, it's a 403b, a 401k, an IRA, pension plans, Social Security. How am I going to make sure that I fund that retirement? And essentially, you're going to have to project what your needs are during retirement. Obviously, the later you wait to retire, with Social Security especially, that's like a 7% return a year. So it kind of really behooves you, if you can, wait as long as you can. But you have to make a decision about how long you think you're going to live too. So people are living a lot longer today. So you'd probably lean towards waiting later if you can. And maybe initially tap Roth IRAs or some other type of retirement vehicle until you can get the maximum. Again, kind of the premise of this course is to maximize your standard of living, and how can I maximize my return on that retirement investment to make sure I have enough money that I won't come to a point that I'm going to be a shortfall cash, as if I get into my 90s. Maybe we have to end up eating cat food or something like that if we haven't planned accordingly. But hopefully that never happens. So, but our last chapter, we look at that, chapter 13, something that applies to all of you. You're in college right now and you're going to school. And there's different vehicles that we can use to save for college. You'll notice there in the textbook they have a nice table that kind of lists all the different options, whether it's Coverdales or IRAs or savings accounts. And what is interesting this past week with the 529 plans, with the Obama administration, that was kind of thrown out there, and it really shocked a lot of people that they were going to take away the tax benefit on the back end for the 529 plans. Personally, myself, I've been putting in a 529 plan for my kids for about 12 years now, and that was kind of a little shock to me. So I actually contacted both the Missouri MOST program and the treasurer at the state of Missouri, just kind of to lobby on behalf of us as investors, because when we were sold these things, we were told that they were going to be used, that you could use it as long as you used it for college books, college expenses, that it would not be taxed. So that was the motivation to invest in these plans. And I think after a lot of people were upset, the White House backed down pretty quickly on trying to try that approach. So, but that's one thing about financial planning. You don't know what's going to happen. You have to be prepared for any changes that might happen and how that might impact you financially, especially relative to taxes. So, but with education, it's basically an investment in yourself, or you're trying to save your kids, an investment for them. College costs are staggering. I talked to one of the economists where I work at the university, and he said, in his opinion, part of the problem was that actually because the government has thrown so much money towards education, well, as long as the universities have that money coming in, it doesn't really do anything for them to try to figure out ways to reduce costs. So I thought that was an interesting opinion. Now, college costs have leveled off a little bit. They still exceed the inflation rate, but we really see the federal government starting to push and tell colleges, you got to figure out a way to reduce these costs, and you're going to have to try to get these kids through in 4 years instead of 5 years, because the amount of loans that they're taking out is just becoming a hardship for a lot of these students, especially some of these what I would call questionable universities that have been in the news recently, that a lot of times are for profit, and they end up with a lot of debt, and they don't have really good options or career options after they finish their program. So there will probably be changes coming down the road, especially with the accreditation agencies and those, and the federal government, to try to figure out ways to make it more reasonable for going to college. In fact, one of the ones that was pitched by the Obama administration was the going to community college for 2 years for free. So we'll see what happens with that, but probably for now, probably not a lot going to happen, especially with the Republican-dominated Congress. So, well, I hope you have a great day today and get to enjoy the Super Bowl. Kind of wrap everything up early today, so you can do that, and just continue to jump in the forum discussion. I've kept it pretty simple this week, and we'll talk to you online. But otherwise, have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Take care.